It's a very short story.
No, it's a very big story.
Potentially a pretty solid isekai title.
I bought this JRPG out of spite. Now I'm an anime fan. That does sound like one, Hunter. You're right. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the HGO podcast. One of your hosts today, Ethan, and joining me as always are my good friends Kyle
Hello.
and Hunter. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing just swell.
It's good to be here. We're back, everybody. It's been like, I know I kind of said it last week, but you know, audience retention's terrible and no one cares anyway because it was about PS Plus. But you know, we're back, baby. This is it. We're finally back in the present. All accounted for, all caught up. And video games are here, ladies and gentlemen. We've been too efficient, if anything, because by now, like, two of the games we're going to talk about today, there's already reviews up, so that's fun. But we're here to talk about video games once again, now that the ball has started to move once more. We're talking about Prince of Persia, which we haven't reviewed yet, so Hunter's got his impressions all about that goodness. And then we'll do a bit of a game recap. So if you haven't checked out the reviews on the YouTube channel, then don't worry, we've got you covered. We can give full impressions of Under Night in Birth 2 and another code, Recollection. Yes, I did learn Under Night's name because I had to flipping type it 60 million times on the website to get it up and published, so that was fun. But yeah, we got a lot to talk about. It's going to be fun. How are you guys feeling? You feeling good? You feeling refreshed? I feel exhausted. I feel like the break did me no good because even though HGO edits went down in my life went up, so it didn't help. It balanced out at the end. I've been ill like
That's not
every
what they meant by
since.
work-life balance.
No, yeah, I know, right? But it's like it genuinely has been like that. I genuinely have been ill like every single weekend that we haven't recorded this podcast. So I'm like, well, there was no point in pre-recording anyway, really. But have you guys had a better fare than I have?
Yeah.
Yeah. Aside from the 1 week, I think immediately following our break where I was nearly dying, I was all right.
Yeah, you did get the
Yeah, I
Black
think-
Death real quick, but you know, it's
Yeah.
good to see you bounce back.
As I am one to do.
Exactly. Were you saying something, Cal?
No, I was just gonna say, I think we all ended up getting sick between that week between Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah, I had tonsillitis for the first
Oh,
time in my
shit,
life.
dude.
Yeah, it wasn't great. And then I was fine for a couple of days. Played T-Walk, was instantly ill again, so it was like that was perfect. But yeah, it's been a weird one. We hope that your holiday period, extended period, I guess, up until now has been good. But yeah, we're back here every Monday to talk about video games and all that jazz. Obviously, we've got Persona 3 Reload next week. That'll be fun. We'll be talking all about that. As we go into Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth and all that jazz later in the month. There's plenty to talk about. But let's
And
start.
Splatoon.
Fuck off. Let's start off with Prince
God,
of
you're
Persia,
humoring me.
The Lost Crown. I believe that's the name of it, right? I didn't get it wrong.
Yeah, Prince of
It's
Persia.
right.
It's either Lost Crown or The Lost Crown. I don't remember which one.
It's the Lost
great
Crown. There is a
circle.
there's a the in there. But it's such an awful name. I was like, that's a bad name. And then I remember that literally like last week, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle was announced, and I'm like, you know, it's better than that. But Hunter, give us the lowdown. This is obviously
As
the
far as
kind
I
of
can tell, the crown is a metaphor too. There's not even any mystical actual object that is resembling it. There's not one of those. There's not one of those in the game, as far as I'm aware.
I'm surprised because with Ubisoft storytelling, I was surprised that it literally wasn't just a massive maze where in the center of it is a crown that somebody lost. So there you go. That's pretty impressive for Ubisoft.
I haven't got to the end yet, so maybe
Maybe there is. Maybe that's the
I just
plot
haven't
twist.
discovered
Yeah.
it yet. But
But yeah, what is it then? So Prince of Persia been dead for a while.
yeah, murdered
come
by
back.
Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, it's been we've had that Sands of Time remake that's been in and out of production for a couple of years now, and then it comes back out of nowhere with an interesting take on the franchise, really. So do you want to tell us more about it?
Yeah, so this is a 2D Metroidvania type game from the Rayman team. That's who it is, right? Yeah.
It is. It's
All right.
Ubisoft Monte. Oh, is it Monte?
Montreal.
No, it's not Montreal. It's I can't say it because I can't. I'm gonna butcher French. But
Monte Cristo.
No, Montpellier or
Monte.
something like that. Montpellier.
Okay.
Oh God, I'm so sorry, French people. It's fine. None of you listen, but if you do, I'm sorry. But yeah, it's by the Rayman Legends team. Who I'm not gonna be honest. They keep advertising it as that, where they're like, yeah, it's the Rayman Legends team that's making
Montpellier.
this. Montpellier, yeah. But what have they made since? It's been 10 years since Rayman Legends. What have they made since?
You'd
Other than
think that
ports of Rayman Legends.
you'd think that if they were trying to cash in on the cachet of the team from Rayman Legends, they would have wanted them to make something between now and then.
You'd
Rayman Legends,
assume.
Just Dance 2014,
That
Valiant
doesn't
Hearts,
count.
Rayman Adventures, Rayman Mini,
Oh, there you
another
go then.
Valiant Hearts, Prince of
They-
Persia, and then Beyond Good and Evil 2 is coming out
Never.
eventually.
Never. You will
That's
never
It
that's
see the
says
not
day.
it says TBA.
And
that's not
I could
happening.
promise you this podcast will be long gone by the time that Beyond Good and Evil 2 ever sees this mortal realm.
I don't know when we'll be finished, but we'll come back from retirement just to say I told you so.
Oh hell yeah!
No,
I look forward to it.
we will never come back because that game is never releasing. But yeah, so it's by the Rayman Legends team, which, if you've not listened to the podcast before, Rayman Legends holds a place in my heart, a special place in my heart, should I say, because it is a fantastic 2D platformer, and it's an absolute crime that they made one of, if not, in my opinion, the best 2D platformer ever made. Fuck off, Donkey Kong Country. Rayman Legends is better than Tropical Freeze, and I'll hold you to that. And then just wave goodbye to it and make a mobile game and then piss off. Like, what the hell is that, dude? That's crazy that they never did another one. But they're here with their take on a Metroidvania with the Lost Crown. So what's the gist, Hunters? What's the set the scene? Because you're not even playing as the Prince of Persia in this one, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, you seem to be playing as this dude named Sargon, who is in this unit called the Immortals, which are just a special
Is this the
elite
Phoenix
group.
Rising ilk, or is this the what was that EA
No,
one
no,
of
the
Avium
Immortals.
ilk, or is that
Immortals of Avum.
It was
Yeah.
yeah, it was of Avium was the EA one, but no, that was like an actual thing in Persian history.
Oh, was it? Okay.
A high ranking, or if it's not, it's weird that more than one thing using Persia has used the term immortals for that, because I remember that being a thing in 300 and a couple of other stuff too.
I think it's
But
one of those generic buzzwords now. When I hear it, I just kind
Yeah.
of sigh, even if it is a part of like, even if it is if they're like, guys, hear me out. There's a valid reason for her being here. I'm like, too bad, Ubisoft, you've burnt those bridges with your terrible name for your Zelda clone, and like EA's burning that bridge too. I'm just like, I just hear it and I'm like, buzzword, the video game. But
yeah.
anyway, so yeah, you're playing as a member of the Immortals.
Yeah, which it's essentially just an elite unit of people.
Mhm.
Some stuff goes awry, and the prince gets kidnapped. The allegedly titular Prince of Persia, not my prince, but you know.
Is he a kid or like is there like
No, he's like a
into-
grown man.
No. Whenever I
think
keep
they're-
reading the plot summary, I'm like, he must be a kid if he's being kidnapped like that or something. It's just like,
No,
no.
no, it's the so yeah, and that's the general setup. You get to this place called Mount Quaff. I don't really remember how they're pronouncing it, but and after being there for a few minutes, you realize, oh, there's some kind of time curse on this where time passes differently for everyone because dudes
Now that's
who
Prince
got
of
there,
Persia.
yeah,
There
yeah.
we go. There we go.
Dudes who got there like an hour ago have been living there for like decades or something to that effect.
Nice. Is Jake Gyllenhaal there? Is he running around in there?
No, not yet. Although, you know,
Not yet.
this game tickled my memory of that movie.
Can I honestly, I don't know if
I
this is a controversial statement. That film's all right.
It wasn't that bad, right?
It's pretty good.
I remembered it being okay.
I honestly remember watching it and going, that wasn't bad. Why did they not make another one? Oh, it's because it was a flop. Oh, well, okay, that makes sense, but I still thought it was
Yeah.
fine. As video game
Disney's
films
Prince
go,
of Persia.
Disney's Prince of
Disney's Prince
Persia
of Persia.
wasn't bad.
Yeah, it's
Wasn't
like
bad.
it was probably better than the other video game movies up to that point.
Probably better than most of the ones that have come out recently as well. You know, it was all
Yeah,
right.
that's true.
It was all right.
But
But yeah,
yeah,
so time travel powers very reminiscent of plenty of Prince of Persia titles in the past. Like my only vivid memory of Prince of Persia is going round to a family, one of like my parents' friends' houses or whatever, and their kid was playing Sands of Time on the PS2, and I was like, it had the wall running with the time, slowing down powers, and having to
yeah.
do those stupid jumping puzzles. And me as like however old I was, like 9 years old or whatever, I was like 8 years old. I was like, this is stupid. Like I can't do it because I'm dumb. But it always looked cool, and I was always like, I don't know why I never actually played any of the Prince of Persias in the past because they kind of were up my alley, especially when you think that original Assassin's Creed was up my alley,
Yeah,
and
they're
that's
kind of
basically
they're
the
like the
spiritual
progenitor of
successor.
Assassin's
Yeah,
Creed and
exactly.
stuff. So it is a little perplexing, but
Yeah,
maybe if that remake were to have ever come out and been
maybe.
good, you would have liked it. But we'll
Yeah,
never
maybe when it
know.
comes back for a third time and it looks a bit better than it did the last time, maybe then I might
Uh,
give it a go. But no. So yeah, this one obviously stuff goes down as it tends to do. Timey-wimey shenanigans unfold, and I assume what comes out of it is a Metroidvania. Because a Metroidvania where you have to try and figure out what's happening and escape or find the prince, blah blah
yeah,
blah blah.
yeah, you're pretty much looking for the prince and trying to navigate a way out of the cursed mountain without aging to death, I guess. But uh as far as like Metroidvanias go, this one is super. There's a lot of quality of life things about it that make the general navigation of this kind of game easier.
Mhm.
Like the thing that people were shouting out in the reviews that went up before the game came out was the memory whatever's. You could basically take a screenshot of what you were looking at. Like if you saw a thing that was like, oh, I'm gonna have to come back here when I get, you know, the double jump or whatever. You could essentially take a screenshot and then it would mark it on your map for you. That way you didn't have to remember after you got the double jump,
And it's a
which
really
is,
cool feature. That's
yeah, it's a nice thing to have in this kind of game because I've definitely, been playing one of these kind of games like a dozen times in Hollow Knight. I'm sure I was like, okay, I got this. And I remember seeing some of these, but I don't remember which ones were important. So I gotta just piece together. I just gotta like struggle to remember which ones I saw where.
Yeah,
dude. Yeah, that's honestly yeah. Go on, Cal.
I remember
Sorry.
something like that for Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Like once you get the little item that unlocks the blue doors, it's like, okay, where did I see those blue doors? Oh,
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
other side of the map. Got it.
Oh, it's just
Yes,
one of the things that always
classic.
annoys me about the genre is it's like trying to keep a mental map in your
Yeah.
head of where every little thing that you can. And it's like it's already annoying as it is in those games for me, going down 6 different paths before you find the right one, and every single one has got a different blockade that you don't know how to fix. And then when you get the one thing, the first power up in the game, you're like, okay, so which of the 6 potential ways I went last time is this one in? Like, I've just got no clue. But I think it's a cool feature. I also think it's very a Ubisoft thing to do to make this new feature, have it be really cool, and then have it because I was doing a bit of research on this or whatever. I actually prepared for this episode. Wow. That you can only do so many of them, and it's like a skill you can unlock more as you like as an upgrade path or whatever. And I'm like,
Yep.
Yeah, you can just find them, and the thing is, like, maybe it's just because I haven't been using very many of them, but the upgrade feels superfluous because I've not even done the maximum or what would have been the starting maximum yet.
but yeah, but
So
like, why is it not like
it's
it's
like
a
why is it
quality of
why is it a
life feature,
number
dude?
thing in general though?
Like,
Is
why? Just leave
I
it be.
understand.
Just let it.
Just
Just
let
let
people do
people
it.
take photos,
Let
please.
people mark every room in the game if they want
I
to.
would. I 100% would. I am that kind of person. It's like, okay, nothing here. Better take a photo just because in case I want to remember it. There you go.
But
Sorted.
yeah, and another thing that didn't really get spoken about as much, but I think is probably still helpful, is there's a little quest log for you to, tell the main quest and whatnot, and then some side
Hmm.
quests, and it will basically actually point you in the direction that you should go.
Oh,
And
good.
Huh.
that's been another issue with these kind of games is if you like sit down and don't play it for a couple days, you'll come back and be like, oh, I don't remember what I'm doing, and that's kind of a problem with this sort of thing.
Hell yeah, that's a cool feature. I like that quite a bit, actually. That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, sounds good.
And then the way their approach to power ups is real cool because like each of them have each of the ones I've got so far have been helpful in not just the exploring and whatnot, the typical like jump over stuff and solve the puzzles, but there's some really creative uses that you could get down to in the combat too. Like there's this one where you can like make a little clone stamp of yourself and then rewind yourself in time to where it was, and it'll go off of whatever action you were doing when you were like making the clone. So if I was holding down the button for the heavy attack and I do the little clone thing and then do the heavy attack and then rewind again, I'll do the heavy attack like in quick succession.
Oh,
So
sick. It kind of
yeah,
reminds me
yeah,
of
it's
stupid comparison. Kind of reminds me of the not necessarily in Rift Apart, but in A Crack in Time, the little Clank mini games where you'd like record yourself doing things and then everything would play. That's a cool little idea, like a little twist. I like that. That's good.
yeah, it's super helpful. It's been great for coming up with ways to avoid boss attack patterns and stuff too.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, the combat in general in this game is just real nice too. Like they don't really lock a lot of that off to you. Um, like from the start, you're able to do like plenty of combos, launching moves, and all of that. It doesn't even really. It lets you just kind of figure this stuff out if you want to. There's a dude who will like give you tutorials in the little first safe zone if you ask him to. But I figured out half that stuff already before I talked to him, and then it was like, oh, if you do these, I'll give you the little 50 of these time money things.
I love
So I was
time
like,
money.
yeah, time money. I think they were time crystals or whatever. It was the
Yeah,
currency.
your little currency
But
MacGuffin, dude. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, but so I'm like, sick. I already know how to do this. I'll do these for the money and whatnot. And then I learned a couple more things by that process. So that was nice. Oh, one of the power ups was cool. It's like a little on top of you get a bow or whatever, and then a little bit after that, you get if you hold down the triangle button, you can throw this like chakram, and when it comes back to you, you can parry it. Like you can basically do the infinite parry thing from a Sea of Stars.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
baby.
I'm like, yes, this is the good stuff.
Hmm. The brain chemicals love this one.
I've literally thrown the thing and just it not even no enemies present, just chucked the thing and parried it like a dozen times and then moved on
Oh yeah.
after I fumbled it.
It's just gotta
Yeah.
play paddleball, dude.
Yeah, it's just satisfying to the neuroses.
Honestly, it really is.
So how are you finding like the level design and the way the world is structured, right? Because I feel like the big crux when it comes to Metroidvanias, right? Because I feel like the thing is this genre has been done not necessarily to death, but so many developers when it's indie or AAA or middleware have come up with have basically developed these games and refined them for what is the best part of 3 decades now. How is this stacking up, right? Because we've had so many great Metroidvanias at the moment. And I feel like again, it lives and dies by its level design. Because to me,
Yeah,
there's like Metroid Dread. I loved Metroid Dread because for a beginner, it was such a friendly map where it was like, okay, there is only a couple of different things, and that's the main thing that's kind of been drawing me out of this game and not being willing to try it is people saying it's like 20-25 hours, which to me is like a maze of like despair, and I'm just like, oh no. So what's the world design like?
so I haven't really gotten lost at all, so that's a good
That's
start.
good.
And I think that part of that's probably in part to what I mentioned earlier, where it will basically tell you where you need to go. Like I remember there was one old dude who was like speaking to me in riddles or whatever, and I just kind of like, I'll be honest with you, the story is a serviceable setup, but I have not really been super into it as far as it's playing out in front of me. I've been like,
Mhm.
eh. I kind of speed read the text logs and stuff when I pick up the things, so I'm not
You're
like the
doing
most.
hell yeah, you're doing a me. You're doing a me
I'm
when they
not
give you the optional.
I'm not the most into the story as like opposed to like the Hollow Knight or like even just stopped Metroid Prime's not exactly the same thing, but I was reading the logs and that, but
I want
you know,
everybody to know that was me during Metroid Prime. I am just like a good story gobbledygook. I don't care why the checkpoints ask. Close this game. I can't take it anymore. That one stupid Metroid room will forever haunt my memories.
but
What you were saying about the guiding you kind of reminds me of Guacamelee. Not Guac. Is it Guacamelee? It's Guacamelee, right?
Mexican
Um,
wrestler
yeah,
Metroidvania.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I played that originally
Guacamelee.
when it came out on PS Plus, and the thing that I liked about that game, which I realize now is probably why I didn't hate it as much as a Metroidvania, is it always pointed you in the area, and then the areas were not necessarily self-contained, but it was like it pointed you in the area, and then once you're in that area, it kind of let go of your hand and was like, you need to figure out where to go now, but you're in the area, so
Yeah,
you're just kind of exploring that section of the map, and then you kind of solve it yourself. So I like when they do that, because as somebody that just sees like Hollow Knight, for example, when the first thing I do when I hop into Hollow Knight for the first time is press the map button, and I just see the darkness and the despair and like 6 million different ways to go, and my head just goes, I know this is as simple as just pick a path. If you pick wrong, go and find another path. But my head's just like, no, I need to know what's right. Where am I going? And I just get overwhelmed, really, from Metroidvanias. I feel like that's my main issue with them. But it sounds like this
okay.
game's doing a lot to alleviate that.
Yeah. It does a good. The level design too does a really good job at like most Metroidvanias. I'd say lean more on the exploring than it does like actual like platforming challenges. I think that's a fair assessment for most of them.
No, I agree.
Aside from like, yeah, this one actually introduces makes the platforming pretty cool for getting around a lot of these instances. Like, they straight up just got they've got extra. They've aside from the time crystals, there's another special currency that's pretty much just the strawberries from Celeste, where
Oh, nice.
you'll get the little coin floating in the air, and it's like, oh, bunch of spikes around. The coin will come to you after you grab it and hit safe ground. I'm like, oh, nice. Still completely optional and whatnot, but it's a nice way to. And I feel like these like platform challenge rooms do a good job at like speeding. It makes it feel more engaging when you're moving through the places too,
Hmm.
rather than just a bunch of rooms and being bombarded with enemies. I feel like after you do that the once, I stop wanting to fight all of these guys. You know.
Mm.
Yeah, I 100% get. I'm playing through 7 remake again quickly before reload. That's a speed run and a half. Maybe I'll talk about that later. But I'm trying to get through. I'm trying to get through the whole of that in a week, which is like not going well. I mean, like chapter 5, it's not going well at all. But one thing I have noticed with that is playing through that game again, right? And it's playing for story, or you've got that reason, and then you've got like these areas where it just purposely stops you and does the same combat section again and again and again. And on the first playthrough, it can be fine or whatever. But when you get in the weeds of it, I'm just like, I'm doing the same thing here. I'd prefer a different challenge that isn't just whack the same
I
3 guys again.
remember I
Mm.
remember relatively early on in 7 remake. It was like in one of the Sector 7 things. It was in like a main quest or maybe a side quest. I don't remember. The point is it was a stupid thing where I just failed to notice a door that I was supposed to like, push the button prompt for. So I
Yeah.
kept running around the area and constantly triggering the same fight because they respawned or whatever. I'm like, "No, I just want to figure out where to go. Leave me alone."
Oh.
Dude, I feel like I don't know if it's more of a modern game kind of thing, but I feel like especially in the past 5 or 10 years, there has been this kind of jump. It's more than that, really. I'd say it's been a while since people started doing this, but where they just put like false blockades of combat or something, where it's not really a challenge or anything. It's just literally to slow you down on your path, and that's to
Oh
me
yeah.
sometimes is the most just annoying thing possible. Is just the no, fight these three.
FF16.
Yeah, fight these 3 enemies, you dumb. It's not time to run down the path. Where like my favorite games are where you can just run through them or just ram them out of the way or do whatever you want. Just get them out of there. Because my
Mm.
God, I'd much prefer like a challenging piece of exploration where it is not even if it's a platformer, right? But if it is more of a hunter trying to find the door scenario, but it is just like a small location trying to find which path it is, and not
Yeah.
having 5 guys just randomly show up every fucking 2 seconds going, nah, fight me. So no, I think I feel like platforming challenges in a Metroidvania. you don't really see difficult ones really. Like it's usually like, oh, you haven't got the double jump yet, or you haven't got a dash in the
Yeah.
air. So it's more
Mhm.
stuff you can't solve rather than
It's
here's a
like
challenging little puzzle for you to solve.
it's like I've seen videos of stuff in Hollow Knight that would qualify as platforming challenges, but they're never the things that were required, and they were never the things that I found.
Hmm.
So, you know,
That's fair
it's
enough.
like, yeah, I'm like that looks like an insane Super Meat Boy room, but I never played it, so it doesn't count.
Not in my playthrough, therefore does not exist.
Yeah,
Therefore not real.
precisely.
Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen, it's finally happened. Hunter has become a real reviewer, dude. That's it now. That's how that works. If I don't see it, it's not in the game. 3 out of 5. What the hell?
Uh,
So yeah, I mean, I've been hearing a lot about this game, to be honest, The Lost Crown. It seems like it's caught everybody off guard, which I don't know why, because when I saw that first trailer, I'm like, this is the first game that Ubisoft has made in the 5 years they've been calling their games Ubisoft Originals, where I'm like, this does kind of feel original here. I'm rather
yeah.
surprised. That's crazy.
I think this
Um,
is actually the first Ubisoft game since I've been, sustaining my own income that I've purchased.
I feel like now you're just making me
Wow.
feel like I've made bad financial decisions in my life
Because
because I
like
have bought other
I
Ubisoft
I
games.
was done with I was done with Assassin's Creed before I graduated. So I
Mhm.
wasn't buying those when I got a
Mhm. Yeah,
job.
yeah.
I think the only other game that they've made that even kind of interested me for a little bit was For Honor. And my friend got that, and I played it at his place and decided I didn't want to buy it after I played it. So,
I mean,
um,
to be fair, Ubisoft games always have never been like day one need to be their games. Where it's like, I'll play as an Assassin's Creed whenever I feel like I finally have the courage to stand another one of them, or when Watch Dogs Legion was out. I loved Watch Dogs 2, but I still wasn't like, I need Watch Dogs Legion on launch day. I was like, I'll wait for it for Christmas and be disappointed then. Like it's one of those where Ubisoft games to me aren't like, they don't have this kind of allure to them where I'm like, I need to play it right now. So, but Prince of Persia, I genuinely was like, if February wasn't so damn busy and so damn expensive, I would be considering you. I also had to buy. I was like, I already locked into another code, so I was like, yeah. Sorry, Prince of Persia, but I do want to. I genuinely do want to give it a try. I've got the demo downloaded on my PS5,
yeah,
and I will give it a try. Which is also a nice thing for Ubisoft to do. A demo, that's nice. I miss demos. They're pretty
yeah,
great.
yeah.
Um, so I think we've covered a lot of things. I think we've covered like general gameplay elements. Story is obviously a bit of a hit or miss, but what do you know? Ubisoft in its prime. Is there anything else we're missing? Is anything to do soundtrack, voice acting, anything stand out
Uh,
on that regard?
the voice acting is fine. I wouldn't say that like I've been like, oh, that line's gonna stick with me forever or anything, but it does what it needs to do. If I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
more into the story, maybe I'd be more onto that. But the soundtrack's pretty good. There's definitely been a few boss tunes that I've been like, ooh, this is tasty. But you know, um, um, uh, I feel like just whatever thought I had coming to me left.
It's
Aw.
gone, dude. It's gone.
I'm sorry, but
Bye
yeah,
bye thought.
yeah, yeah. The boss music was good. The rest of the background music has been, pretty solid too. Um, oh, that's what it was. The designs for the characters are all pretty cool, but sometimes I feel like they've got the thing. They do the thing where when they're speaking, they give you the little portraits in their text boxes too. And I feel like sometimes with a couple of characters, there's a bit of a disconnect between the portraits and the model on the screen.
Oh,
So
yes. So you got Persona 5 syndrome, dude, where you're looking at the models and you're like, wow, that's so expressive. And then you look at the actual game models and everyone's like wide-eyed, just like, "Duh," like
it's not quite like
deadpan.
that. It's just there was
It's
one
my
of
favorite.
the other immortals. I think just sometimes the way that they have their hair is like this braid that mostly basically pulls their braid hair back into a braid pretty
Mhm.
far and whatnot. Sometimes if you look at the model and the way they're angled towards you, it looks like it will just be behind their head. Like they'll like their hair just full on receded into a ponytail rather than like being pulled
Yeah, yeah,
back,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, oh. That's
That's
unfortunate,
unfortunate.
but I'll have to just do my best to only look at the portrait.
I tend to. I don't know if this is just again. I don't know if this is.
And it's not always like that. It's like a very specific view of them from a specific angle.
I know, but I always feel when it's like I don't know why portrait games. I'm dubbing it. There we go. They're portrait games. But you know, whenever you got the little corner icon or whatever, I don't know what it is. Don't know if it's my little zoomer Temple Run monkey brain that's just zooming in. When I see those animated portraits at the bottom corner, that is the game to me at that point. I'm just reading the text box and looking at that portrait. I very rarely look up, so that when people are like, sometimes the character models in these games look a bit weird. Like people talk like I remember a friend asking me, "Hey, did you ever notice that some of the character models look off in Fire Emblem Three Houses or whatever?" And I'm like, "No, because I was too busy looking at the art in the corner and noticing that all the rooms that they were talking in were 2D JPEGs that were just in the background as the camera pan." Like I just noticed stuff like that. But I always think it's a good use though, to be honest, because when you're working in this kind of no, it's I know it doesn't exist, but it's like in a double A realm, right? Where it's like you don't
Yeah.
have 60 million artists to make every realistic face movement for every voice acted, for every voice actor and for every performance. I do like the idea of having this kind of these expressive pieces of artwork on the side. Like I love it in Hades as well,
Dude,
where it's just like
yeah, yeah. Like
you don't
any
even
game
need
that
it to be
uses these,
animated, you
yeah,
just from
I'll take the
just from a single
stylized
image.
portraits, a couple of those over like even high end 3D models most days.
Oh, 100%, dude, 100%. But no, I mean, I guess the only thing to ask, Hunter, is obviously as there is not a review out on YouTube. Do you recommend it from what you've played so far?
Oh, I certainly would. Actually, like the only thing that I would s- like I would say this would be a surefire good one for people who are new, except for like the game's apparently real long, so that might be
Well,
well
20
long by
hours. I don't know.
yeah,
It's
not like real long, but like long by the standards of if you were like longer than a Metroid or something.
well, I feel like 90% of Metroidvanias are longer than Metroid. To be fair to the whole genre, right?
Yeah.
I feel like you could play Metroid Dread 3 or 4 times in the time that it would take for you to beat Hollow Knight or something like
I
that.
don't know. I feel
Like
like 20 hours is like substantially longer than a just do like maybe not 100% of Symphony of the Night or something, but like I feel like that's longer than it would take to do just a leisurely playthrough of that by quite a few.
I mean,
yeah,
Symphony of the Night, that game just gets cryptic sometimes. And I feel
Yeah.
like
but
that's where most of
that's like
your most of your struggle's gonna come from.
dude, that's
Like
genuinely
like
why
trying to figure out how to get the inverted castle.
dude, just anywhere. It's like if you try and play old Metroidvanias, it's almost like in platformers or in old NES and SNES games, how they just used to use like lives and stuff like that and game overs as restart points, just as like kind of chokeholds to get quarters
Mm.
and stuff back in the arcade, right? It's like I feel like Metroidvanias were just purposefully like obtuse with their puzzle, like their solutions and stuff like
Yeah.
that, just to draw that life out of it a little bit more for the 8-year-old or whoever that got it for Christmas to turn like a
Yeah.
5-hour game into like a 12-hour game. It's like but
I had a I had a
I didn't have the time for it.
I had a friend in college who hadn't played Super Metroid before, so I'm like, "You should give it a try. It's a good video game." So I watched him play it, and he had like no clue because like Super Metroid doesn't tell you anything,
No, it doesn't.
and
That's why it
he was
doesn't
just
shout
he
it.
didn't know that you could like bomb walls and floors to reveal paths, and I'm like, "Yeah, fair." I don't I don't know how the game would expect you to figure that out.
Maybe in the
It's
manual.
okay. Even
Maybe
if
in
you
the manual. We
even
were
if
playing
the
on
game
Switch though,
even
so
if the game tells you to your face, some people will still find a way to ignore it.
yeah,
Like
dude.
David Jaffe playing Metroid Dread.
Why can't
Dude, I
Metroid
mean,
crawl?
not to defend him with that situation, but I've 100% been in that situation before where a game told me what to do and I just completely ignore it and just try and figure it out myself and
Well,
then
yeah, that's the thing. Is the that specific situation there was the room he got stuck on was real stupid because like if you go watch anyone else play the
no, it
game
was
for the
obvious.
first
It was
time,
obvious. I know it. Yeah, I
they
know what the
moved
room
by it.
is. Yeah.
I moved by it, and then he was like, "Oh, I've made video games before, Bush League." Blah, 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 blah."
Yeah, but that's everybody on the internet, Hunter, that thinks their opinion is like important. It's like that's what
Yeah.
happens. It's like why most of it. It's like here's the thing, right? Is what I think differentiates us from other game podcasts is we have opinions or whatever, but we also know in our hearts we're just stupid fucking people that are just genuine, like it's just genuine reactions. I don't think that my critiques of video games are like auteur like beliefs or whatever. That's like these are the sacred texts. If you don't get a 4 out of 5 on my review scheme, you failed or whatever. I'm just like, I didn't care for Assassin's Creed Mirage. I'm sorry, okay? Just please leave me alone. Um but I've got that. I've got a friend. I think I've mentioned on the podcast before. My friend Ed is the most clueless gamer of all time. Like genuinely,
Yeah.
if you ever need someone to game test a game, like I mean, really game test a game for stupidity in terms of like reading comprehension, he just doesn't read tutorials. In Kingdom Hearts, the health bar's too far in the corner, so he just dies because he can't be bothered to look at the
My
screen
God.
to see that his health
Doesn't
is low, so he won't
doesn't
heal.
it start yelling at you when you
Yeah, it
get
starts
low health?
beeping when you're in red.
Yeah, he also had two friends on SharePlay who would literally just
Oh.
scream at him, "Heal! Heal!" every time that he was low. But it's all fun and games.
I mean,
People
incredible.
experience
it's funny
games
that
in
it's
different
like when
ways.
he doesn't know that. Sometimes I let my health bar get low in those kind of games just to feel something.
But it's the only way Hunter feels emotions, guys. It's the only way. But yeah, Prince of
Well,
Persia:
my
Lost
ver-
Crown is pretty
Dying.
great.
Yeah, I'd recommend it, and like it has a lot of quality of life things that do make it beginner friendly.
Yeah,
I would say.
yeah. Definitely. So yeah, check it out if you haven't already. Obviously, big February, guys. Big February. Might not want to check it out right now, but there'll be
Wait for a
time.
sale.
March, April, like
I don't know.
the year's not
It's a
looking
big
too
February
good
if
for
you
this to
like
start.
RPGs, but
Which, if they're listening to this
Big,
podcast,
there's
they
two.
are, dude. Like, yeah, but they're like the two
Yeah,
biggest
I
that's a good
know.
point.
RPGs of the last couple of years. Like, genuinely.
I know, it just amuses me.
Here's the thing, Hunter. We have a niche and beautiful audience. They're all a bunch of JRPG nerds, and I hate them. So they're gonna play Persona 3 and they're gonna play Final Fantasy 7
That's true.
Rebirth.
You make a
And I
good
also
point.
want you to know that it's self-hatred. I hate it that I also love these games as well. So don't you worry about that. Um,
This wasn't Ethan's plan when we started
what
the
to like
podcast,
JRPGs? No,
but I
it wasn't.
converted him.
The man
No, it
originally
wasn't
bought
that.
We've
Xenoblade
done
2
it.
out of spite.
That's a
Yeah.
story. That's a story for another day. That's a major motion picture in the making. That one is right there.
It's really not.
It is.
It's a very short story.
No, it's a very big story, and you
But
just don't. You
potentially
only know.
a
You
pretty
only know a
solid
tiny
isekai
part of the
title.
picture. Yeah. I bought this JRPG out of spite. Now I'm an anime fan. That does sound like a. That does sound like one on two. You're right. Someone get trigger on that, dude. I think we've got ourselves a hit. Oh, right. Anyway,
Colon
moving
the
on.
HGO story.
moving from moving on from Prince of Persia, let's talk
Let's
about
talk
Under
about
Night in Birth
anime.
2. Let's talk about anime. Let's go into it. So, if you haven't checked it out already, we've got a review up of this fighting game, Under Night in Birth 2.
We do.
Doing pretty well. Thanks for the support. Appreciate that.
It's crazy what happens when you put a review out on the day the game comes out.
For a game that's niche
It
enough
helps
for
that
us to
the
go
game
up
doesn't
in
have
search
very many
rankings, yeah.
reviews either right
Yeah,
now.
hell
Also
yeah. It's the
that.
Crash Team
There's
Rumble
3
effect,
of
baby.
them.
It's the Crash
Yeah.
Team Rumble effect, baby.
It's like I
You'll love to see
remember,
it.
like when your review went up, I was like, "Oh, cool! Let's see how many points you got on the thingy." And then it wasn't there.
Hourglass.
OpenCritic didn't even show me a page for it, so I was like, "Oh,
Well,
I guess we'll
OpenCritic
be
are
waiting."
cowards. Let us in, OpenCritic. We've got a review right here. It's a 4 out of 5. It's pretty
Legit.
recommended. So anyway, Under Night in
buddy.
Birth 2, Sis Celeste. Awful name. Absolutely awful name. Like, I'm sure the game's great. Cal says the game's great. I believe him.
Yeah.
Name's bad.
Ethan just trusts me.
Name bad. Name bad. It's the worst of the three. Of the three we're talking about today, the worst name of the three. But give us a rundown, Cal. If they haven't checked out your review and they've never heard of what the hell Under Night in Birth is, what is it? It's a fighting game, but
Yeah. It's a one-on-one, a 1 versus 1 fighting game made by a small dev studio called French Bread and published by Arc System Works. Um, I don't remember when the first game would have come out, but they basically released that, and then they just kept releasing, like, small incremental updates to it,
Mhm.
and then eventually we just got this one. I think the last version of the last game came out in, like, 2017.
Okay.
It's for a while, it's been a super niche fighting game with with the FGC. It did get a crossover with, Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle when that came out,
Yeah, but hear me
and
out.
so
Everybody and their
that's
mum gets a crossover with Blaze Blue cross tag battle,
I mean,
dude.
you're not incorrect, but that's how I ended up hearing about this series.
No, fair enough. So it's made by Arc System Works. Ironically enough, and funny enough, not only is it's not the only game that we're reviewing from Arc System Works this week
Yeah.
because another code was also made by Arc
Dude,
System
that really
Works.
surprised me when I was
Um,
reading through your script. I didn't know that they had their fingers in that pie.
yeah, it's because a load of the old devs from the
It's
team
like
that
how
made it went over to Arc System afterwards, and Nintendo was like,
Huh,
"Hey, you're still around and hanging out. Do you want to make a remake of these games you made?" But we'll get to that later. Um,
weird.
but yeah, so what would you describe Under Night in Birth 2 as in terms of a fighting game, right? Because you have plenty of like there's a wide range of variety when it comes to fighting games, right? From your Smash Bros kind of platform fighters to your
Mm.
uh Tekken 3D
Tekken 3D.
nightmares, yeah. Where would
Yeah.
this lie on the scale?
This definitely falls in like what's known as like the anime fighter genre.
Yes.
Eh, it's hard to describe what it is. You just kind of feel it.
you know it when you see it.
You know it when you see it.
Yeah.
It's definitely like aesthetics and specifically like the gameplay, like something like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter. Both 2D fighters, but you wouldn't classify those as anime fighters. You don't have
Yeah.
people jumping around the screen at a million miles an hour, throwing out a million particle effects.
That's a shame, dude. That's a shame because I do love
It
my
is. I
particle
might like
effects.
Mortal Kombat more if it did that.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
fair play.
Hunter.
Why are you apologizing to him? I want to hate
It's okay.
Mortal Kombat
I didn't like
personally.
Mortal Kombat for a while until that last one either, so it's all right.
And even then, I still am like,
He's
like,
legit the only person I know that plays Mortal Kombat.
and they've gone back to good. Okay, they've gone back to good.
Yeah.
Ed Boon, you could strive for higher. You could go higher. Go on, try harder. Look at Tekken and Street Fighter. Try a bit. It's not hard. Um. So yeah, like I think like describes it best. Really, it's an anime fighter. So for an anime fighter, Cal, how are you finding it? You seem to be digging it quite a bit.
I'm finding it a ton of fun. Like over the last few months, we've had a lot of fighting games come out. You know, Mortal Kombat, Tekken came out the day we're recording this. Um, Grand Blue Fantasy had their fighting game come out like at the start of December.
Yeah, yeah.
So we have a
Like a
lot
Dragon Infinite
to
Wealth, we've got plenty of fighting games coming out, baby.
yeah,
You know,
dude.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Gotta punch
Yeah.
that dolphin. I don't care. Stop riding that dolphin. Punch that dolphin. Like, come on, what is this? Back in my day, in the old Yakuza games, he would have been punching that fucking dolphin, dude. This is rigged. Um, but no, I'm like, I don't know. To me, it's like, what do you think kind of separates this game from other kind of recent anime fighters that we had? Do you think it is just like because to be honest, like when I look at anime fighters, there seems to be a lot of them that just come out very frequently, and it's like
Yeah.
some of them are a bit hit and miss. Like whenever you look at Open Critic scores or Metacritic scores or whatever have you, there are some that do pretty well. There are others that a lot of them seem to sit in like the 70s or whatever. So it's like. Why do you think this game is so? Do you just think it is because it's well refined and it just really is like just a fun game to play? Do you think that's what
I
separates it?
legitimately I do think it's just because the game is fun to play. Like I think regardless of your skill level, I'd put it to something like Marvel versus Capcom 3 where no matter what your familiarity with fighting games is, whether you're good, bad, or in between,
Just
I
press some buttons and
it's
accidentally
just
do a super.
it's just fun to push buttons in this video game. And I think
Yeah.
like the vibes, the aesthetic, the music, it all just comes together so well.
The game
Mm.
does have some really good tunes.
You
Yeah.
would know as you edited the video, Hunter.
I
As
did.
someone who has
Yeah.
edited the video, you must have absorbed all of these opinions by
Mm.
osmosis. So I want your
One
engaging
thing he
in-depth
pointed
review.
out in the review was something that I don't think the little like the meter worked a different way than they seem to typically in these kind of games where it was like every so often there's like a check for who has more of the meter and the bonus goes to them for damage or
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah. That's a
rather than being storing it up for like a super move or something, which might have been another meter. I wasn't
yeah.
paying
So
super
there
close attention
is
to all of that.
like there are individual like character meters. They get up to like 200%. That's how you do your big special moves at like your enhanced special moves and your super moves. But then there's also the grid gauge, which in the review I called it competitive tug of war because that's how it feels. Like you're
Hmm.
basically competing with your opponent to get these like grid blocks, and then every like 13 or 16 seconds, it was really hard to find the actual number for that online. No one could seem to agree on what it was, but
What's new there?
every like 13 to 16 seconds, basically a grid cycle completes, and whoever has the most grid blocks gets like a bonus damage buff.
What
So
determines getting those blocks anyway?
um that's a really good question.
Whacking people. Lock it in. That's my
I'll
answer,
be
dude.
honest, Hunter.
Perfect parries. Pity.
I I wish.
Whoever whacks
No,
harder, Hunter. Whoever
I've
whacks
noticed
harder.
I've actually noticed that like blocking gives you a lot of those grid blocks, but
Makes
also be
sense.
honest with you, at a low level, it's not something you need to pay attention to.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm just kind of pushing the buttons, and if I get it, cool. If I don't, oh well.
No, fair enough.
But yeah, am really glad this game came out, and I'm glad that people are finding it well. Because like obviously something like Tekken, we all know Tekken's great. It's a legacy franchise. It's been around for forever. You don't need us to tell you that Tekken is good.
I've heard it's pretty
But
good though. I have heard
but
if you wait for me, if
I
you wait
have
for
heard
my
it's
opinion on Tekken, guys, I've heard it's pretty good. I know what you've been thinking.
yeah.
Uh,
But like I mean, yeah, like I said, Tekken is good. You don't need us to tell you that, but I do like that we can just like take these smaller games from smaller dev teams and get the chance to highlight them here.
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's super cool as well. I feel
Mm.
like that's the thing, and it's like I've noticed it with other games we play whenever we've done. Obviously, Hunter's done quite a few indie reviews. In the past with like Arcadia Fallen and stuff like that, or if it is, even if it is just even smaller titles in the AAA space like Octopath Traveler 2, AI, the Somnium Files, stuff like
Yeah.
that, where it is smaller stuff. Crash Team
Even
Rumble, I'd even put in that
Returnal,
kind of.
relatively to other things, got a lot of like a, attention from
Mm.
the review we made for it.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like even
Yeah.
Crash Team Rumble was very much Final Fantasy 16 was out on the exact same fucking day, so it was like, yeah, of course everyone was gonna draw their attention to that, and it's like I do kind of like doing reviews. Another Code as well is another one where it's just like I like talking about games that necessarily aren't just what's in the thick of it. Because yeah, right now are we talking about Tekken 8? No. Are we talking about Like a Dragon? No. I'm sorry, I didn't have time to catch up on all 10 games beforehand. I'm sorry, I only did 4. Maybe
Do
by
better,
Yakuza,
Ethan.
maybe by Like a Dragon 9 I'll be caught up. Maybe, but you know, it's like we can't be there for every AAA release, and to be honest, I don't think we need to be there for every
Yeah.
AAA release. Because like you say, you like, yeah, people who
Everyone's
listen to this
talking about
podcast,
it.
everyone that listens to this podcast might want to, like, if you're a regular here, you might want to know what my opinion, what our opinions are on like Spider-Man or something like that, because you just want to hear our opinions on video games. That's cool. But for most people, when they find us, it's because we're talking about a game that not many people are talking about, and I always think
Mhm.
that's really interesting. And I think that it also helps that all three of us have very different like tastes in games. I think that also helps, is we aren't just three people that like the exact same video games. You know, we do have
Mm.
some. There is some like synergy there. Like there is like we do like certain types of same games like JRPGs or whatever. There are certain types that we all enjoy, and me and Hunter do awkwardly always do seem to play the exact same games, but that's cool. It works out. It always works to have someone to bounce off of, right? But it is. Kyle, you do play a lot more fighting games than uh I
Mm.
will ever do in my entire life, right? Hunter does play a load of indie games. I do play a load of normie games that you two wouldn't touch with a fucking 10-foot pole. It works out
It's
for the
true.
best.
It
You
gives
know?
us it gives us the most optimal spread when needed.
It
It
really
does.
Because
does.
It
yeah,
does, and it's a cool thing. But no, I'm glad that
Mm.
the Under Night review is doing well. If you haven't checked it out, please do go and check it out.
I
Yeah.
really like a
Um,
lot of the character designs in that game.
Dude, I'm
Looking at
telling you, dude, the
look,
characters make the game for me.
looking at those guys while I was editing that, I was like, oh man, the demon guy who gets all stretchy, he cool.
Oh, Merkava?
Yeah,
Dude,
uh,
the noodle arms are so
yeah.
good.
The red-haired dude with all the swords, he's
Kuan.
pretty cool.
Yeah,
no.
Under Night available on PS4, PS5, Switch, and PC. PC
Stay
version
strong,
has
Game
been
Pass. Stay strong, Game Pass. You got Pal World. You don't need that shit. You got Pal World.
um I'll say a couple of like negatives that I wasn't able to touch on in the review real quick. There's no crossplay. There's no crossplay between versions, but
Even
that's
between
just because
PS4 and 5.
there is crossplay on PS4 and 5, but
Okay,
not
good.
like PlayStation Switch
Yeah. Okay.
or
Okay.
PlayStation to PC.
It's just a symptom of French bread being small and are going to do that later, or do they just be like, no, screw you guys?
I'm pretty sure it's just because they're a small dev team. It might get added in later, not sure. But and then one last thing, if you're buying this on PC, on Steam, this might be fixed by the time this video goes out. I don't know, but the online doesn't work.
Epic. Good job, guys. Good job,
Uh,
team.
You
it's
decided to play a game on your computer, but you can't
it's
play online.
it's only on
The
PC that has
tragedy.
that issue.
Yeah. Well, it
PS5's been working totally fine for everyone else.
time the PC nerds learn to go outside. You know what I mean? Like it. They need that
I
break.
agree.
They need that break.
Mm.
Uh.
Well, don't worry, dude. Apparently, Tekken 8 has been having the same issues. So,
Oh,
Well, what's new, dude? Grass is green, water is wet. PC has shitty issues that shouldn't be there. Like, why not? It's fine, dude. It's fine. But no, pick it up if you haven't already. Go and check out the
Mm.
review. It's available on the website hotgamesonly.com or on youtube.com/hotgamersonly.
And
Uh,
go listen to the soundtrack, dude. Maybe that'll get you to buy it.
maybe,
oh yeah.
maybe.
Absolutely killer. It sounds like I've won Hunter over a little. I'm getting there.
I mean, I might. I don't know. The thing with these kind of
Yeah.
the thing with anime fighters specifically is they're like, you're in it if you want to
Yeah.
fight people online.
That's the other thing. There's like
Which I think might
no
be
single
why
player.
which might be part of why, as far as fighting games go, I skew more to the more mainstream stuff. Like Street
Mhm.
Fighter usually gives you stuff to do.
Yeah.
Combat really hung their hat on the single player, and even with Tekken, maybe not this one. This new one that just came out apparently has like 3 different single player big modes to do.
Damn.
So
I think it's always
yeah,
interesting with like I said, with niche fighters, especially because it's like I always feel with these kinds of games, you kind of have to be in like if you're gonna get into it, now's a great time to get into it because everyone's new and everyone's learning and all that jazz.
Yeah.
I feel like if you wait 6 months, then the only people left are the really dedicated ones. And when you have got a game like this where there is no single player mode or whatever, it's just like, well, let's hope I have a friend that also wants to maybe learn and play this game. Otherwise, I'm just gonna go into the
Mm.
online and get absolutely eviscerated and have a miserable time. So yeah,
Kyle,
it's always
didn't you start Blaze Blue and like its dying embers and managed to thrive?
Yeah, I started it during COVID, dude, because I had
The
nothing
game had
else to
already been
do.
out for like a year or two by then, hadn't it?
I
yeah,
think
but
so, like a year and a half at least.
in Cal's defense, though, he was going in with the drive to get better at it, though. I feel like if someone's just like, I'll give it a try, goes into an online anime fighter and then just gets bullied and may not go, you know what? I don't want to get better. Fuck you.
Mm. But even
The
still,
online doesn't
like,
work on my PC. What the fuck? I don't like why.
yeah. But even still, like, if you are like months down the line, if you do get the game and you're interested in stuff like this, I mean, like, hit up a Discord server. Someone will always be there looking for a match or looking to help
Oh,
someone.
that's true.
Hell yeah.
Like, legitimately, fighting games have never been easier to get into than they have been over the last few years. There are so many good resources just everywhere. Just the sharing of information is so much better than it used to be.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Get on it, guys. Get on it, gamers. I believe in you. Find a friend. Play anime fighting games with them. Then don't be friends anymore when you lose. That's the spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, let's let's move on. Let's move on to my to the final topic of this week's show, which is another game that we've already covered on YouTube.com. Review on YouTube, on the website hotgamesonly.com. There's a TikTok, there's a YouTube short. Ethan went stupid busy. It was a terrible idea because I did a 10-hour work day, decided to come home, spend another 5 hours on that review, and then cry. And there we go. Great. Another code recollection, everybody.
And this is why I
Hey.
asked Hunter to do the edit for my review.
Yeah, you would have got a fuck you from me. You wouldn't have been like, yeah, Hunter was very nice. I would have been like, go away. But in a similar vein that you didn't talk, there was stuff you didn't cover in your review that I didn't really mention too much in detail in mine. I thought that I would talk about another code in a different manner this time round. If you want to see my full-on impressions, like I say, there is the video version or the website version. If you are of the reading variety, you can go check that one out as well. Another code is interesting. I think I want to focus on something that I think I did reference in the review of. I did very much complain about the first game a little bit, but it was a passive phrase of I did nearly give up on this game with the first game. I don't know if that I might have cut that one. I did actually edit my review. I do praise for me right here, guys. I did actually cut stuff out of the review that I thought it was getting a bit too convoluted. But yeah, essentially, I think another code is great. TLDR, if you are into adventure games and you are looking for something that will scratch that kind of Life is Strange itch, that isn't necessarily Life is Strange, and doesn't necessarily delve into the more serious nature and topics of Life is Strange, I think it's a great game. I also think it's great for newcomers if you're new to this genre and you haven't played a game before. If you've got younger family members that you think might like a game like this, I think it's pretty damn good. I think it's definitely worth. At first, I remember saying to Hunter because I was messaging the group chat, and Hunter was replying to me about it, and I was like, dude, I think this first game's really rough. Like, I do think it's really rough. The first couple of hours are really bad, and when I got to the second game, I'm like, okay, no, I feel like once you get to the second game, I'm like, okay, I see why people love Another Code now. It's fantastic.
It was a really
It's
funny
worth sitting through the
turnaround
first game to play
too,
that second one. Sorry,
because you were
Hunter.
like, "Oh, 5 hours of this to get to one that's longer." If it's
Yeah.
more of this,
And it turns out the longer one is a lot better. Like, I genuinely do believe it is worth sitting through the first one, even if you don't like it, to see if you like the second one, because it is vastly different and vastly better. So, it is what it is. But yeah, I definitely keep it on your radar. It's a bit expensive. I will admit, for like a 15-hour game or whatever, it's like it's a full price $60 XP. Blah 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 blah. Which Life is Strange has been cheaper than that usually for the same length of game or whatever have you. But I still think
I
it's
think
worth keeping an eye on it on
was
your
True
radar.
Colors a full price?
I don't remember.
I think it was.
Was it? Okay, cool. What's funny is the second game is very similar to True Colors. Like, honestly, I was like, were there some people at Deck 9 that were Another Code R fans back from 2008? Because these games are very similar.
This is just another code with guns.
Maybe. Maybe. Nintendo, get on that. There might be a lawsuit there. Am I right, Twitter? Wait. But yeah, Another Code is interesting. I'd keep it on your radars. I think if you're like me and Hunter and you like these kind of games, I think you will like it. I just think it's that price value there of do you want it and it's a busy time. Again, later in the year, the lull that I expect to happen in summer. It might be a good summer game. But there's two games. There's Another Code, Two Memories, and there's Another Code R, Journey into Lost Memories. You can tell Ethan is thriving from this review because he's remembered all of this. Like, I've got this stuck in my head. First game, you play as a 13-year-old girl called Ashley Mizuki Robbins, who, on the eve of her 14th birthday, has been told to go to this random fuck off island called Blood Edward Island because her father, who was recently believed to be dead, has resurfaced, asking her to come to this island. So it's trying to basically figure out what the fuck is happening. And you go to this island, you meet a ghost called D. There is no D's nuts joke in the game, I'm sorry to say. It was 2005 when this video game was originally made. But it's basically, you find a ghost that has amnesia, and you're basically working together with him, recounting memories that you both may have similar experiences with, and trying to come to the truth of both of the characters' predicaments. And it's kind of, it shows its age in its premise. These games have been completely remade from the ground up. These are not the same games that came out. They have completely re-looked at them and have completely redone them. The main thing that the story is very similar. They've even changed a lot of the story though as well, especially in the second game, which I think is interesting. Not in a Final Fantasy VII remake kind of way where we're doing it.
Dude, I don't think
different.
any other. I don't think there's any other game calling itself a remake that will change a game's story that much.
No, but they do change. They, especially the second game. I read the wiki because I was like, okay, what's different? And quite a lot of it is different in the remake, in the second one. Like they change characters' motives and a lot of different stuff. So it's really interesting. Kind of there's some really interesting differences there. But the second one, it struggles from, it was a DS game. It was obviously in that era of visual novels like Professor Layton, where it's small scale kind of, Curious Village. You're just stuck in a village. This is literally, you're just stuck in a mansion in the outside area, and it's literally like once you get into the mansion, you don't leave the mansion again. It is the rest of the game is in the mansion. You're just stuck in the mansion. Yeah, basically. It genuinely, Hunter, I'm not even joking to you. It is designed like the mansion in Resident Evil 1, where it literally is like hallways and staircases and random rooms with typewriters.
Dude, if I was a man who had the means to afford a mansion, I would design it like that too. Because I've got enough money. Why not just have a screw off room with blocks that are reflective?
Well, genuinely, it is, because it's like, it has that vibe to it as well, because it's an abandoned mansion from like when people were living in there. It was like early 1900s, so it's like all kind of old, and like they've got like people were in there in like it's like from the 1930s 40s were the last living people that will live there or something like that. So it's like, it's all very it's got very much Resident Evil vibes. I was like, it's kind of creepy in here. But it's like, it's very small scale, and the story wasn't really doing anything for me. Like, by the time you get to the second half, it's a bit better. But I was saying to you, Hunter, the villain is very stereotypically villainish, where it's like, okay, you're the villain. I know instantly even that you're the villain. There you go. Point the finger at him. The puzzles are a bit obtuse and a bit awkward, but they're fine. This game has this tendency that all Nintendo games for the past 10 years have had, where they feel like they have to have a single point in the game where they are like, shit, the controllers have motion controls. Let's make janky, shitty motion controls in every game that's ever been made. Like, there is some there's this puzzle.
Or if it's a DS game, it's like, oh, you can touch the screen.
Yeah, basically, it's that equivalent. It's like, there's a key at the bottom of this stool that you try to get out of a thing, and you've got to move the controller around like that, and it doesn't work very well. So Ethan's just getting angry, and he's doing what he would do in real life, where he's just shaking the damn controller, hoping something happens, because it's just really bad. Little stuff like that. Dialogue's a bit cheesy. It gets better as time goes on. If it was just the first game, I'd genuinely be like, I hope another Code fans like it. I think it was fine, but nothing special. Second game is genuinely really good. Like, it's really good. It genuinely is. It's like, I hate to say family friendly Life is Strange, but I just mean there's no drugs or swearing in it, really. But it is, you're on a camp. You're at a campsite. There's literally, it goes from a cast of 4 characters to a cast of like 16 characters. There's an actual mystery there to do with why your mum mysteriously brought you at 3 years old to this place on the day before she died. So it's like trying to figure out why she came to this random place of the day of her death, and trying to recount what the memories were and what kind of happened there.
Is it the same protagonist across both games?
Yep, and you play as Ashley.
Oh,
She's now
yikes! Two
16.
dead parents.
Uh, Maybe you don't
That
know what
trick.
happened in the first one. Was the father actually there, Hunter? Was
I don't
he?
know. I don't have the answers. So going off of the information presented
Well,
is
you have to sit
where
through
that
it, so that you'll have to
statement was
sit through
coming
it,
from.
Hunter, so you can find out and then play the better game later.
Gonna get to the end of both of them, and it'll be no dead parents. Lay twist.
3 dead parents.
The shock, the awe. But the second game
Not
is
the
just
stepmom.
the second game is just so much better, and I don't know if it's because, again, Ashley's older in this game. It's only 2 years, but as anybody who has been a teenager before will know, 2 years makes a lot of a difference in terms of personality when you're that age. She's a lot more bearable in the second game. It's very Life is Strange coded in the fact that she, she wants to be a musician. It's very music inspired. There's a lot of cheesy dialogue because it's based at but instead of Life is Strange, where it's based off of what a 40-year-old's vision of being 15 is, it's, oh, this is how 15 and 16-year-olds talked in 2005. Makes sense. I'm like, okay, this is more believable, to be honest. They haven't changed anything like that. Everyone's still got flip phones. It's all still set in 2005, 2007, I believe. Like, they've stuck to it, and I think it works really well. And it genuinely is. Like, I had a pleasant time with the second one. I genuinely enjoyed it. I got to the end of it, and I was like, they're never going to make a third one of these, because this game is going to sell about 16 copies. Because I just feel like it's going to be one of those ones. But I'm like, if they did another one of these, I genuinely would be interested in it, to be honest, because I feel like there's some really good ideas and mechanics here. And it's a good mystery. It's not necessarily one where it's like jaw-dropping and full of twists and turns and suspense, but it is like a cool kind of thing where I'm like, oh, that's interesting, there's some cool stuff here, and I like what you did. I was like, oh, I didn't see that coming, that was interesting. And they do change quite a bit of the story as well, which is bizarre for a remake, but I think it works better. When I read the old version, I'm like, oh yeah, I can see why you changed it, because it wasn't very good. It kind of all leads up to something, and then the villain's just like, I'm big bad villain, man. And then that's it. And he just like,
Oh shoot, big bad villain, man.
big
It was
bad
him the
big
whole
yeah
time.
Oh
big
no.
yeah big bad villain man shows big bad villain man shows up in both of them, and instead of they were like, yeah, the first one it was pretty bad, let's fix it in the second one. I'm like, should have fixed it in the first one as well, if you're asking me, but what can you do? But it's good. Is it breaking any boundaries? No, not really. Is some of the voice acting very hit and miss? Yes. Well done, everybody. It's an American localization of a Japanese game. Of course, there's going to be some hit and miss voice acting here and there. Does it have a really cheesy theme tune to the wildlife reserve that you go into when you go into the gift shop? Yes, it does. It does have one, and it's very cool. I genuinely smiled. I was like, it's something like that where I'm like, oh, I didn't expect that from this kind of budget game. Like, I didn't think they'd have the resource. I don't know why, but it's like, just to do stupid shit like that, wouldn't expect it. I really have to praise Nintendo and Arc System for putting so much effort and so much money into a remake of such an obscure visual novel from the DS and the Wii. With the second one didn't even come out in the US. This is the first time you can play that if you're from the US. So it's like, there's no reason for them to have done this, and I'm glad that they did, because they're very solid. I have my gripes with the first one. I'm sure people love the first one. I'm sure if Hunter played the first one, he'd be like, you're fucking stupid. The first one's better. And I'm like, okay, of course. But,
I like how you say that as if we've had like drastically different opinions on the other kind of games like
oh no,
this
we
before.
have very similar opinions, but usually you've played them before I have, Hunter. So usually I agree with your opinion. Whereas now that I feel like the roles are reversed and I've played one of these first, if you ever get around to it, you're just gonna be like, what?
You're dumb.
No,
I
you're
hate
wrong.
you.
Yeah, it's stupid. No,
The heck was he talking about?
that second one was stupid. What the fuck? But no, I liked it quite a bit. I was pleasantly surprised. I think it's great. I think you should check it out if you have the time and you're into that sort of thing. Will it please or will it win over people like Kyle that do not like visual novels? No, it will not. It will not do shit for
Maybe
you.
if someone plays it in Discord for him.
No, and even then, I don't. It's not. It's not
We can't
Danganronpa.
rope
It's not
Sam into
got.
playing this one.
No, it's not Danganronpa. It's not
It
got that
doesn't seem
comedy
like it's
value
got
to it.
the Somnium Files crazy energy to it.
It's not got the crazy.
Few
It's not
things
got
in
the
life
cringe.
do, Hunter.
It's true.
It's just got a fun
That's why those
story.
games are so special.
And I also realized that I'm getting to that age now where a game set in 2005, I'm just like, even though I wasn't 16 in 2005, funny enough, or whatever, I'm just like, I kind of like this. This is a vibe. I kind of dig living in.
That's because no matter what year it is,
2000.
perpetually I'm of the mind that 2006 was not that long ago. So, a game set there, never gonna hurt.
It also, true. It also makes me laugh that because they say like you find a floppy disk or whatever part of it, and then one of the characters is like, "Oh, this is a floppy disk. These are ancient." And I'm like, in 2006, I'm like, "Oh, so they were ancient back then too. That's good. Just good to know." I feel like
Floppy disks are always funny because I know that they were like outdated before I was born, but they still look like something that I could imagine going into a futuristic computer, like visually.
you've watched too much like Futurama or some shit, dude. You just like you've seen like the 1980s version of the future too often.
I don't know, man.
But no, it's a good time. I think it's good. Good luck finding it though, because I've heard that they printed about 10 copies in America. So if you wanted it physically, I hope
Oh,
you
wow.
pre-ordered it.
What a surprise.
Oh, beans.
In Europe, as of last checking earlier this week, I think there's still copies around if you're in Europe and you want to buy it. Shout out, it's going to go on my list I don't know why this isn't a HGA category, to be honest, for best game covers of the year. Like that is I really think it's a really good game cover. And it's not just kind of cool because you're like, oh look, there's all the photos and stuff like that. It actually means something in the game as well. Like there's a reason for all that stuff in there. So it's like, that's really cool. I like it. Beats fucking Street Fighter 6's box art any day.
Bro, get over it.
I will never get over it. I also want to say, Under Night in Birth 2 Sis Celeste's fucking cover art or whatever. I'm squinting. I'm like, God, need to put sunglasses on. I'm like, too busy. I'm like, where the fuck?
It's very bright.
I'm like, it's so busy. I'm like, it doesn't need to be that busy. Like, gosh. It was very difficult to try and figure out how to make a thumbnail
are pretty
for it.
busy as well, like on screen, so it's an accurate representation.
I will also go out and say one last controversial opinion before we end the episode, that I think Smash Ultimate's box art is shit. There you go, fight me on that one, guys. I don't think busy drawn artwork like that looks good on a cover. Whenever I see the little Switch icon of it on my home screen, I'm like, that's an ugly ass icon. I respect the drawing. I think the drawings are cool. Looks ugly as shit, dude. It looks ugly as shit. You need
I like
something
Brawl
clean.
and Melee's covers more.
Dude, Melee's is so cool.
Yeah.
But Ethan, I'll do you one better. Ultimate's cover might be bad, but at least it's not the Wii version of Okami. I kid you not, there's a watermark to IGN on that box art.
Is there?
Sure
It just has like the IGN logo on it.
Are you sure you just didn't get a bootleg box?
No, this was a legit thing. That's how they printed. Some fans noticed, and then then Capcom's like, "Oh shit!" So they reprinted brand new cover sleeves for the Wii version of Okami.
Epic. That's sick. Anyway, buy another code. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. That was pretty great. Apparently
Buy
they did
video
other games. Yeah, apparently they had another series as well on DS that was also very cool, and there's a reference to it in the remake apparently, so maybe they'll remake that one next or make another one of them. I don't care. Either way, you'll sell 2 copies and one of them will be me. That's pretty cool. You can do that. Let's wrap it up. The links are
That's a
on screen
loyal
right now.
consumer right there.
Yeah, that's our little consumer. I will consume. But it's like if that's the thing is set in 2007. You ever just what miserable that'd be? Oh yeah, we're gonna make another one. It's set in 2024. She's 36 years old and it's shit because the world is shit now. Great, wonderful. That sounds miserable. I don't want that. I'm good. But anyway, that's it. Next week, Persona 3 Reload is finally here, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be talking all about it. Will it be as good as we hope it is? Find out next week. I don't know, Kyle. There's still time for them to fuck it up. There's still time for Atlas
or I'm gonna feel like I've been sold a bill of goods by the Persona 3 fans that was not cashed in on.
I'm really
trust me, bro. It's gonna be good.
As someone who's writing the review,
you have party
really
control.
Hope
it's gonna be good.
there's gonna be 2 lines. There's gonna be two optional lines where it's gonna be Persona 3 Reload is finally the definitive way to play Persona 3, or it's gonna be Persona 3 Reload is yet again another version that's not like a non-definitive version. Don't fuck it up, Atlas, please. I swear to God. I've been on media blackout for it now, so for all I know, the game's out there. I don't know. Maybe it is.
I haven't seen anything.
Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, we'll be back next week to talk all about it. It's going to be a fun time. But until then, have an awesome week, I guess. Good luck. Stay safe. Beware of spoilers for a 15-year-old game that's getting remade, everybody. Imagine if they fucking remake it. What if they remake it, dude? What if the end... What? Oh... I'm not gonna say anything. I don't want to jinx fate. Anyway, that's it. Thank you for coming. See you next time. I don't know what to say anymore. Bye.
See ya.
Toodaloo.